Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Atrocious. You can also call me Jake, and today in this video we've got the top 8 bracket for the Japan National Championships, the first ever EB01 tournament. There's some exciting stuff that is going to happen in this, some qualifiers for the World Championships coming up here in the recent future, and I'm excited to get into this top 8 match. We'll be showing all 3 of the matches, the top 8, top 4, and final, but this video will only have the top 8, so just to make sure this video is not 8 hours long, if you want to subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss the semifinals and finals matches, make sure to hit the subscribe and bell and whatnot. You know the drill. Anyways, and here we've got the top 8 bracket right here. These are the top 8 that surpass the other 21 competitors in this event. We did create videos and commentary over the previous 5 rounds, so make sure to go check that out if you want to as well. I have all of these games in a certain playlist on the channel. It should be obvious. But anyways, going into the meta diversity of this top 8, we've got a Yamato versus a Kanekuri right here in this top left corner. The bottom left corner is an Enel versus Sakazuki. Top right corner is a Sakazuki mirror match, and then the bottom right corner is a Zoro and Uta match. So personally, I hope that it's a Zoro and Uta mirror match, but I do know that it's actually not going to be that. Whoa, I actually have this deck box. Oh my goodness. Yo, we're like the same. We're actually going to be watching, because this is the game that they decided to stream, a Enel versus Sakazuki match. That bottom left corner, I believe it was, of the bracket. So before we get into this actual match, I remember we featured this guy earlier in the tournament, and he ended up winning his game. Good job. This is not my actual content. This is just watching and doing my own unique commentary over the official live stream that was there. So if you want to go check out the live stream and all of the matches all in one video, maybe not hear my commentary, go check out the description below. I have a link there for you, so then you can easily get to it if that better suits your taste. But for those of you that are staying here in this English commentary of the EB01 format, the first ever, it's been exciting so far. We've seen EB01 cards left and right in these different archetypes, and it's been very, very fun. It looks like the Sakazuki is choosing to go first in this, immediately won the rock, paper, scissors, and put out 1 Dawn. So maybe noting to themselves, that's how they note that they are going first as they look at their starting hand. And so players looking at their starting hand, the Enel has that 1-cost stadium, could be good to play turn 1. It looks like they have a Flampe and a 200 million volts Maru, as well as a Gadatsu, and I think that other card there, the second from the right left, the near side, let's say, I think was an Onami. So not a terrible starting hand, especially with that stage card. Oh, it looks like that card next to Gadatsu and the Charlotte Flampe is actually a starter deck 13 Rush Ace. And a pretty good start, in my opinion, with this hand. You do have a turn 1 play going second. It's not Shura, but it'll do as a searcher. The ace will probably have rush, because usually about when you have like 5-6 Dawn, when you're playing this card, you're usually at the life requirement to be able to get rush on that character. So in my opinion, a pretty decent starting hand. This hand could be a lot worse overall in this one, but the Sakazuki player will see where their hand is at. We did see from this Enel player that they really rushed in terms of getting down to that 1 life cycle, so we'll see how fast they can do it there. And this hand, all right, so this hand is interesting. You have the brand new, which is always nice, a turn 1 brand new, and also a turn 1 leader effect on the starter deck Hina, but then also Rebecca and 2 8-drop Gecko Moria. So interesting spot about the Gecko Morias, which is nice to have them in hand, is they're not searchable really off anything in the Sakazuki decks. It is a 7 Warlords of the Sea Thriller Bark Pirates type character card, so you have to naturally draw into it either through leader effect or like Sabo or things like that. So it can be a little bit difficult since you can't find it off brand new or Tashigi. So turn 1, going to be thinking about what card they want to discard. We've seen 2 different options that'll probably happen. The starter deck Hina is usually something that people discard right away, but usually as well when they have multiple Gecko Morias, they decide to pitch one of those. And this is very interesting. The Sakazuki player not opting to pitch any of these cards off leader effect said, you know what, all of these cards are way too valuable in my hand. I'm going to keep it. And so the Enel player now goes in their 2 Dawn turn, gets a Gadatsu off the top deck, and they're going to start off by playing that Flampe. Flampe, one of the new EB01 cards, says take the top or bottom card of your life and then draw 1 card. So an easy way to cycle in for that I Am God event that was showcased earlier. And so it looks like off of this stage, they're going to be grabbing another copy of the stage overall. This is very interesting. Remember, in the One Piece trading card game, you can play the same stage over that stage, but you can only play 1 stage per turn. So next turn, we could see that card come down and replace the one that is on the field. The Sakazuki is going to start off after their draw and using Helmeppo off leader effect to swing 5. They're going to take that at 200 million volts tomorrow. Didn't feel like using that trigger though. And then the Branu is going to come down. It's going to find Subaru, Houndblaze, Kuzan. So choosing somewhere in between those. I don't know if you're necessarily worried about Flampe, but getting Houndblaze is always really, really nice. But looking at the rest of the hand, maybe you want that 2K counter. You do have 2K counter already with T-Bone, but the Kuzan could do really well in trying to get rid of the big moms later. But the problem with Kuzan is, especially at this point, Kuzan is pretty much a target for a Gadatsu. So deciding what they want to do, I think maybe the Kuzan is fine to grab overall, leaving the Houndblaze and the Suru in the trash, and so passing it off to the Enel. They do get a top deck of 7 Rush Enel. You love to see that. If you are the Enel player, you love seeing those, especially later in the game. So starting off swinging with the leader, and so this swing here is going to require either a counter or life, and it's going to be life. And I wonder if they play the the I Am God. The I Am God event is 4 Dawn, which would be kind of one of the options that they could do. They could also use 200 million volt tomorrow, but the I Am God event card, a new card in EB01, would forced to put them at 1 life, but would get that Rush Enel on the field. And with 7 cost in essentially like the 3rd turn for Sakazuki in the game, they might not be able actually to take it out, especially because that Kuzan is not on the field yet and going to be swinging. They could hard play that Hina, but they might not necessarily know that they have that Hina, so they might be trying to bank on that reminder that the Enel has to be either in the hand or in the trash to be able to be played through this I Am God effect like they are right now. So they do have to trash the life as they go down to 1. So another 200 million volts tomorrow going to the bin, and that 7 is going to take a life. It is 2-1 with the Enel having the ability to use leader effects. So we'll see exactly how this goes here. So the Sakazuki is thinking about what they want to do. Could, like I mentioned, hard play that Hina. They also have a great eruption in hand as well as a Houndblaze in this. So effectively that might not be able to work. Actually, now that I think about it, the Hina would be -4, and then the Sakazuki swing could be 5 overall. So the Houndblaze or potentially make this Enel bottom decked, and then you also have that 6k brand new swing. So swinging the 5 at life, and it's going to be countered out with Gadatsu. I don't think it's bad to have the line of play that I mentioned, you know, hard playing the Hina, just putting pressure on this Enel to really say, all right, you're either going to be bottom decked or you're going to be like really giving me a lot of counter in this kind of life cycle situation, right? Because with the Houndblaze, you would be able to swing multiple times, or another time is what I should say, going into the turn. So thinking about how they want to do this, they're eyeing up this one card for the leader effect. It's going to be the 8-drop Moria, so they had 3 of them in hand overall, something that you definitely don't like seeing. And so they are going to hard play this Hina, going to be on that Enel, going to make it a 2 cost overall. And so using the Houndblaze on the brand new, now they have to decide, since this Enel is leaving the field, it is going to be bottom deck. So great job getting rid of that threat right away. The Enel, though, kind of already did its damage that it was aimed to do. Being cheated out essentially 2 turns early is very, very strong. And so opting not to swing the brand new overall, not letting that Enel cycle through their leader effect. I bet if they decided to, I bet if the Enel player decided to keep the rush Enel on field, then probably the Sakazuki would swing. But because they didn't, I would imagine at this point they just decided, you know what, it's probably just safe to let it go. So with 6 Dawn now in the turn, you could use the rush Katakuri that you haven't had, or that you have in hand from starter deck 7. Also, the ace is an option because your opponent is at 2 or less life. I think that Katakuri might have a little bit more value because you can see like some of the life on the field. You can gain a little bit of information, whereas the ace, even though it is 1,000 more power, does not have any other additional effects alongside it. And so with 2 Dawn extra remaining, you might be able to actually do a little bit of board clearing if you want to, or use something like 200 million volts of Maru. But even with 200 million volts of Maru and the Katakuri Rush combo, the Flampe still won't be able to swing. So you'd have to Amaru the Enel. And so looking at that life by the opponent, it's going to be a 1-drop Searcher Tashigi. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from here on this, knowing that one of the 2 life is that Tashigi. And so they're going to opt to put it on the bottom there. And so with 2 Dawn left in here, there's a couple different situations that you could go with. They're going to start off by swinging that 6 and getting that 2k T-bone there. And so attaching the other 2 Dawn and swinging 7 is going to take that life as another Tashigi. So the last 2 life for the Sakazuki is 2 Tashigis. And so now going into the, what is it? 7 Dawn turn now? 7 Dawn turn, both players at 1 life apiece. I feel like this game has been so fast right now. Going to pitch that Kuzan, say, you know what, it's a little too late for Kuzan. I don't think I'm going to be playing it. And so you've got some interesting decisions here. You know that 200 million volts of Mario is always a live card, so a Rebecca coming down is not going to save you. You could use a Rebecca and just grab a like 2k counter of T-bone, right? Because the T-bone would give you some counter power for the upcoming swings. They have not left any Dawn open, so this L Thor that they're showing is not going to be affected, but going to start out with the Great Eruption. So minusing probably the Katakuri, I would think, in there, and they're leaned so far in the table, it's hard to tell what they draw into their hand, but maybe thinking about what they want to minus. I don't think I saw them motion a minus, so I would think that it goes to Katakuri, but it could technically go to the Flampe if they wanted to. And so the Enel only having 1k counter overall in this is going to start out with the 5k swing at lead. So this could be a Gadatsu. This could also be a life cycle. The life cycle could get rid of something like the L Thor, but looks like they're going to pitch that Gadatsu. The life is too low for Gadatsu to be any value at all. So I do agree with that decision of just getting rid of it now instead of later. So going to be thinking about where they want to go, assuming that the Katakuri is at 2 cost overall. Could get it to 1 off of the leader swing, or it could just get it to 0 on the Great Eruption if they decided to do another one. So going to be swinging there, 5 at life, and they are going to have to take this and cycle the leader effect because there is no counter or Dawn in their hand. Going to be looking at the trash saying, okay, can you cycle anything through the Hina? Right, what could you be able to put down? And that would be Helmeppo if they wanted to on that, but gonna take that life. It is going to be no trigger. It is going to be a Rush Enel though, which is very, very strong, but pitching the Rush Enel. So interesting choice for that. I think the Ace probably provides a little bit more value than the Enel because it costs 2 less for the same amount of power. And so the brand new now swinging 5 at lead. They're going to have to take this again and go down to 0 life overall. They're going to have to find a way to get more life here shortly, but in the last game that we saw from this player, we didn't see anything like a Yamato. So the Rob Lucci ends up coming down and taking out those 2 characters, unless there's a Rush Enel in the field, which there could be through the I Am God event. Only 1 swing is going to come from this Enel. So going into the 8 Dawn turn now, I believe, going to be looking at where they want to go. That Enel, Rush Enel, is in the trash because they trashed it off of that life cycle. So the I Am God event card is active because remember, it comes from either the hand or the trash, as I learned in the previous video. Thank you so much to the comments for reminding me of that statement. And so going to be starting off resting 2, boosting up the Enel. Going to be resting the Rob Lucci, or can they not actually? Hold on, I have to read 200 million volts tomorrow again. So they actually could opt to rest the Rob Lucci, but I guess not deciding to. Overall, I feel like that's honestly kind of a misplay, but taking that life, gonna be putting the Ace on and attaching 1, gonna be swinging 8 at lead, and they're gonna be pitching 9k worth of counter, 2 Tashigis and a Rebecca. Gonna say pass the turn, and I'd imagine that there's gonna be a 16 to face, trying to find a Howlblaze, maybe putting more on, maybe thinking about swinging wide now that they're at 9 Dawn. This game is gonna end with 9 Dawn overall. My goodness. So going to be resting 2. Going to be playing this Howlblaze for the Rob Lucci and attaching the rest of the Dawn to the Rob Lucci. Right? Right? Yes, they will. Okay. I don't know how much that is going to swing. That is 3 plus. They keep moving this stuff around. +7, 3 + 7, so 10, so 16 face, and that is going to get the game. Sakazuki is going to advance into the top 4 of that match. Is that the shortest match we've had so far? I don't know. There's been some short matches in this one, but that's going to be all for the top 8. Just a really strong showing for the Sakazuki overall in that one. Not a lot of counter power from the Enel player. Just a lot of events and stages that came into hand instead of things like the Capone Beges, instead of the Satoris, right? Things that can get you out of those things. And I have, again, that's the second game that we've seen that Enel, and I have not seen anything like a Yamato or something like that. So who knows if the Enels are playing the way that North America does, right? In OP05, where they're playing the Enels, the Katakuris, all the things of that nature. But a strong showing again from the Sakazuki, knowing the outs, knowing the game plan, and also controlling the board at enough level to really just take over that game. So thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, make sure to stay on the channel and subscribe. Turn on the bell for notifications to see the top 4 and the final matches. We'll be commentating those. I'm excited to see that in the first EB01 major tournament. So, yeah, I think that's going to be it. All right. See ya.